He was the kind of man who never looked back. When she walked out of his life 3 years ago, he told himself she was just another chapter. But that night, under the cold hospital lights, everything changed. As he rushed past the ICU corridor, a faint voice echoed, "Daddy." He froze. His world, the one built on money, power, and control, shattered in a single heartbeat. Behind that thin white curtain was a face he thought he'd never see again, pale, fragile, fighting for life. And beside her, a little boy clutching a toy car, eyes filled with fear and innocence. He didn't know which truth hurt more, that she was dying, or that the child calling him daddy had his eyes. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and heartbreak. Ryan Carter, the name that ruled boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, had never felt so powerless. He was there for a charity visit, a quick PR move before another flight, another meeting, another empty night, until that voice, "Daddy," he stopped dead. It wasn't loud, just a whisper, trembling through the hum of hospital machines. Something in that word clawed at his chest. His heart skipped, his pulse raced. He turned toward the sound. A small boy stood in the ICU doorway, clutching a stuffed bear, eyes too wide for someone so little. He couldn't have been more than 3, and then Ryan's world tilted, because those eyes, they were his. Same gray color, same shape, same pain hiding behind them. Before he could move, a nurse gently took the boy's hand. "Sweetheart, your mommy needs rest." "Mommy." Ryan followed her into the room. The sterile light hit her face, pale, weak, yet hauntingly familiar. Anna. His Anna. The woman who walked out of his penthouse 3 years ago, leaving nothing but a letter that said, "Some things love can't fix." He remembered that day too clearly. He'd shouted, broken a glass, told her she'd regret leaving. She never looked back. Now here she was unconscious, wires running through her, heart monitor beeping softly, and that little boy, standing beside her bed. Ryan's throat tightened. He stepped closer, his voice barely a whisper. "Who are you?" The nurse gave him a look, half pity, half warning. "Sir, she's been here 2 days. Car accident." The boy said, "His name's Liam. His mother's been calling your name in her sleep." Ryan froze. His name. His name. He felt something inside him crumble. He'd spent years convincing himself Anna was gone, that what they had was a mistake. But seeing her like this, fragile and broken, shattered every wall he'd built. He sat down beside her bed, his hand trembling as he brushed a strand of hair from her face. It was her, still beautiful, still his undoing. "Anna," he whispered, voice cracking. "Why didn't you tell me?" The little boy looked up at him, then, innocent, curious. "Are you prefer my daddy?" Ryan's heart stopped. For the first time in his life, he had no answer. Ryan couldn't breathe. The question hung in the air, small, soft, but louder than any boardroom argument or press conference he'd ever faced. "Are you my daddy?" Liam's little voice cracked something inside him that no loss or deal ever had. He tried to speak, but his throat burned. The boy's innocence. Those gray eyes, they were mirrors of a past he'd buried too deep. Before Ryan could answer, the doctor entered quietly. "Mr. Carter, she's stable for now, but the head trauma was severe. It's a miracle she survived." Ryan stood up, still shaken. "Will she wake up?" "We're hopeful," the doctor said. "She's strong, but emotionally, she's been through a lot. You may want to be here when she wakes." He nodded numbly. When the doctor left, Ryan turned back to Liam. The boy was sitting on the chair, his bear pressed to his chest. "Your mommy, she's going to be okay," Ryan said softly. Liam looked up, a tear rolling down his cheek. "She always said you were busy, but you're here now." Ryan blinked, stunned. He wanted to tell him that wasn't true, that he didn't even know, but guilt silenced him. What excuse could ever justify not being there? Hours passed. Ryan stayed, just sitting, watching the steady rhythm of Anna's breathing. Memories came back uninvited. The night he told her love was a distraction, the way she had looked at him, eyes full of tears she refused to shed. "You'll understand one day," she had whispered, before walking out of his life. And now, maybe he finally did. When Anna stirred, Ryan leaned forward. Her lashes fluttered, and then her eyes, those soft brown eyes he thought he'd never see again, opened. For a moment, confusion clouded her face. Then recognition hit her like lightning. "Ryan," she whispered. He nodded, voice trembling. "Yeah, it's me." Tears welled in her eyes. "You shouldn't be here." He almost laughed brokenly. "You think I could just walk away again?" She looked toward Liam, who had fallen asleep in the corner. Her lips trembled. "You met him?" Ryan swallowed hard. "He's mine, isn't he?" Anna turned away, her silence louder than any confession. Ryan's heart twisted. All these years, Anna, you kept him from me. Her weak voice cracked. I wanted to tell you, but you said love was a distraction, that you didn't need anyone slowing you down. You were turning into someone I couldn't reach. He flinched, remembering those cold words, ones he'd used to protect himself. Now they came back like knives. I thought if I stayed, she continued, you'd choose between me and your empire. And I couldn't bear to watch you regret it. So I left. I thought, at least one of us should be happy. Ryan clenched his fists. And were you? Her eyes filled with tears. No. The room went silent except for the steady beep of the monitor. He reached for her hand, fragile, cold, and held it tight. I missed everything, he whispered, his first word, his first steps. All because I was too proud. Anna closed her eyes. You've built a world, Ryan. You don't need us. He leaned closer. You're wrong. I had everything except the only thing that mattered. Her lips trembled into a sad smile. People don't change that easily. Ryan shook his head. Maybe not, but I want to try. Liam stirred then, opening his sleepy eyes. He ran to the bed, wrapping his tiny arms around Anna. Then he looked at Ryan, shy, uncertain, and whispered, Can Daddy stay with us? Anna's breath caught. Ryan froze. It was the simplest question in the world, and yet it held everything he'd ever lost. He didn't answer with words. He just sat down beside them, holding both their hands as the sun rose through the window. For the first time in years, Ryan Carter, the ruthless millionaire CEO, wasn't thinking about deadlines, deals, or profits. Only family, only love. And maybe, just maybe, a second chance. The morning light poured through the hospital window, soft and golden. Ryan sat beside Anna's bed, her hand resting in his fragile but alive. Liam slept against Anna's arm, his small fingers curled around hers as if afraid she might disappear again. Ryan had spent the night awake. Not because of work, not because of business, but because for the first time in years, he was afraid to lose something real. Every heartbeat of the monitors reminded him of what his arrogance had cost. He thought power could replace love. He thought success would silence the ache inside him. But looking at the two souls in front of him, he finally understood he'd traded warmth for walls. The door creaked open. Dr. Reynolds entered quietly. She's healing faster than we expected, he said with a small smile. She'll be discharged in a few days. Ryan nodded, relief flooding him, but as the doctor left, Anna turned her head slightly, her voice weak but firm. Ryan, you don't owe us anything. You can go back to your life. Her words hit him harder than any loss he'd faced. He leaned forward. That life doesn't exist anymore, Anna. She frowned softly. It's who you are, the CEO, the man who never stays still. Ryan smiled sadly. You used to tell me I ran from feelings. Maybe it's time I stopped running. Anna looked down, her voice trembling. And what if it's too late? He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a folded worn drawing. Liam's drawing. A stick figure family. 3 people, hand in hand. Underneath it, in messy handwriting, me, Mommy, and Daddy. Ryan's voice broke. He gave this to me last night. Said it was for Mommy, so she wouldn't forget. He looked at her. I don't want to forget either. Not again. Tears slid down her cheeks. Ryan, you can't just walk in and fix everything. I'm not trying to fix the past, he said gently. I just want a future, if you'll let me earn it. Anna turned away, torn between love and fear. For years, she had told herself that Ryan's world was too cold for someone like her, but seeing him now, eyes tired, voice raw, she realized that maybe he had been just as lost as she was. Liam stirred and blinked up at them. Mommy, he whispered. Can Daddy come home with us? Anna froze. Ryan smiled softly, eyes wet. Only if Mommy says yes. Liam looked at her hopefully, his innocent face glowing. Please, Mommy. Daddy's nice. Anna's heart shattered and healed at the same time. How do you deny a child the one thing he always wished for? She brushed Liam's hair back and nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. Okay, Daddy can come home. Ryan exhaled, a tremor running through him. He reached out, holding both of them close. That moment, no contracts, no headlines, just love, fragile and real. Days later, when Anna walked out of the hospital, Ryan was waiting. No chauffeur, no guards, no luxury car. Just him, sleeves rolled up, holding a small bouquet of daisies. The same flowers he used to bring her when he had nothing but dreams. Anna smiled faintly. You remembered. He stepped closer. I never forgot. I just forgot what mattered. Liam ran ahead, giggling, holding both their hands. For the first time, they looked like a family. Not perfect, but healing. At the parking lot, Ryan hesitated. "There's something I want to show you." He opened the car door and handed her a file. Not contracts, but an adoption of sorts. A trust fund under Liam's name. "Everything I built. It means nothing without him." Anna looked at him in disbelief. "Ryan," he shook his head. "It's not charity, it's me trying to make right what I ruined." She looked at him. The man who once said love was a distraction, now standing before her with humility and tears. The man who once feared feelings now couldn't hide them. "You've changed," she whispered. He smiled sadly. "You did that? You and him." They drove home together, a quiet, uncertain peace hanging between them. Liam's laughter filled the car, chasing away years of silence. That night, as Ryan tucked Liam into bed, the boy looked up and asked, "Daddy, are you staying forever?" Ryan swallowed hard. "Yeah, buddy, forever." When he turned, Anna was standing at the door, eyes glistening. "I wasn't sure if you'd mean it this time," she said softly. He walked up to her, gently touching her hand. "I've made a lot of mistakes, Anna, but this us, I won't lose again." She didn't answer. Instead, she leaned her forehead against his. No promises, no grand speeches, just forgiveness. Outside, the city lights shimmered like old memories coming back to life. And for the first time, Ryan Carter, the ruthless millionaire CEO, didn't feel empty anymore. He felt home. Sometimes, life takes everything away just to give it back when we're finally ready to understand its worth. Ryan thought success meant never looking back. But the truth waited behind an ICU curtain. A woman he broke, and a child who carried his heart without knowing it. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes, it whispers in the smallest voice calling daddy. And when he held them again, Ryan realized, it was never too late to choose love over ego. Because no matter how far we go, fate has a way of leading us home to the people who remind us who we really are. Sometimes, the richest hearts are the ones that once broke. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, another heart is waiting for its second chance.